This is the Projekt Gemineye Update, your source for all things Projekt Gemineye. Brought to you by Riffical Records. And here's your host, Mark Anthony K. Greetings, friends, and welcome to episode 195 of the Projekt Gemineye Update. So this update is going to be a very special one, and one that I've been meaning to do for quite a while. This episode, we're going to be focusing in on a very important person in the Projekt Gemineye world, a person who I feel has become extremely important in every release that I do, and that's Mr. James McCarthy, who is the artist who has done every single one of my Projekt Gemineye album covers, and some posters too. And we'll get to that after as well. James has become connected with Projekt Gemineye like a key to a lock, in my opinion. Everybody knows a Projekt Gemineye album now pretty much by the artwork now. When you see that kind of artwork that James does, which is very connected to his style of painting, you know it's Projekt Gemineye. And connection, you also know when it's Projekt Gemineye, you know it's James McCarthy who's doing the artwork. It's that kind of a connection now that we have. So I feel it's long overdue to talk about James a little bit and to show some of his work, because, you know, as Projekt Gemineye supporters, you get to see some of his work through my albums and some posters that he's done. But he has a lot of other things that he's done, and I think it's important to take a look at that. But before we get to that, just a little quick bit of news on the Projekt Gemineye end of things. As you probably saw in my last update on the page, the Facebook group, I received the acetate from Kevin Park, who does my lacquer cuts for me. From Lacquer Channel. I got it for the latest vinyl that's being done, which is the album. Jesus, I can't even remember my album titles. What Lies Beyond? There we go. Jeez, What Lies Beyond? I heard it. It sounds fantastic. There was only one minor little suggestion that I made to him when I wrote back to him about it. It's very minor. I just thought maybe there was a little bit of top-end adjustment that needed to be done. He agreed, and it was done, and it sounds absolutely brilliant. I mean, it was nothing major. It was just you know how I am. You know, if I could have it even 2% better than, you know, what it is, like if I have it at 98% perfect, I'll try to squeeze for a 99. You know what I mean? So, but anyways, it sounds fantastic. I was very happy with it. I've listened to it a couple of times, even though you're not supposed to listen to those kind of acetate copies very often, but, you know, it sounded so good I wanted to listen to it a couple of times. So I'm very happy with it, and I'm sure that all of you out there will be happy with it as well. Also, the album cover should be done soon. I keep getting told that any time now I should be getting them sent to me so I can start signing them and getting them prepped for the posters and the stickers that are going to go with them as well. So everything is kind of developing now and coming to a head, as they say. So keep your eyes on the Projekt Gemineye group page, and, you know, check back here whenever you see an updated video. So I'll do the cliche things. Don't forget to subscribe, because if you want to know what's going on with the Projekt Gemineye stuff, then this is the best way to find out. I always do most of my major updates on here, and sometimes on the groups as well. Obviously on the groups as well, but the main thrust of my updating is done here. Yeah, so that's what's going on with that. Let's get back to James McCarthy. So James McCarthy is a artist, painter that lives in Florida, Tampa Bay area, if I'm not mistaken. So every time I hear a hurricane happening in that area, I always panic and have to message him, and, "You okay, James? Everything okay there? Do you need any help or anything?" Because like I said, he's extremely important to me, you know, as a connection to Projekt Gemineye, and as a person too. Over the years, feel like I've gotten to know him pretty good now, and he's a great guy, and hopefully living in that area, from what I understand, Tampa Bay doesn't really get affected by hurricanes, so he's safe. So I can kind of rest easy in that sense. Yeah, but his artwork is fantastic. How did I discover him? Well, back in the very beginning, when before the first Project Gemini album came out, while I was in hospital bed, I was thinking to myself, I wanted to, start making my own music again, and I had the idea for An Ordinary Day, and the one thing that I wanted to do from the beginning was I wanted everything under my control. I was so sick and tired of, having to wait for people to do things, where are the lyrics, this and that. Oh, let's get together and write some stuff. Some people are busy. I understand it's life. Some people are going to be busy at other times than other people will be. But, I was just at that point where I just didn't want to have any kind of delays anymore. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. It sounds kind of greedy, but artists can be that way. Musicians can be that way as well. So the one thing I didn't want to put into my own hands though was artwork, because I'm not going to say that I'm like I can only draw stick men, but I can't exactly do anything fantastic. Certainly not something that's worth doing on an album release for sure. I could probably do stuff with Photoshop and clip art and stuff like that to make some sort of a cover, but nothing compared to what I was looking for as far as Project Gemini was concerned. So what did I do? I went on Google and I started looking up artwork. I just put an artwork in there. And then I remembered one of my ex-girlfriends, her sister was into art and she had a page on DeviantArt. And I thought to myself, okay, let me go to DeviantArt and let me see if I can find something on there that could inspire me, and maybe I can contact those people through the page there on the DeviantArt website. So I went looking through it, and sure enough, I saw many kinds of fantastic art, but it didn't really connect to me how I was hoping. And then I saw James' artwork, and I'm going to start putting up here some of his artwork as I discuss this, because there's a lot of stuff that he's done. Some of it I'll feature a little bit more, strongly than others, but just I'll show some of it up here now while I'm talking. But some of this artwork here came up, and I thought it was just fantastic, and it was really surreal, and it kind of caught me almost like how I see like a Roger Dean sort of drawing. Roger Dean is into his floating islands and his his clouds and stuff like that, but he's really into the floating island thing. And James is into, how do I put this? He's very much into like seasons, spring, summer, May. His pictures can be sort of connected to those seasons. He paints differently in each season, I find, and he loves his forests. He loves his waterfalls. He loves sci-fi stuff. He loves technological based things. So all these things kind of come into play in his pictures or his paintings. Sorry, I keep saying pictures. They're paintings actually, oil-based paintings. So that really connected to me. I'm very big into science fiction. Very big into forestry. And, I love waterfalls and those kinds of scenes as well. So it was something that I really connected with. So I contacted James, and when you do this kind of thing, you don't always expect to get a response. Sometimes people are like, oh, who's this guy bugging me about, and some people just don't want to be bothered with it. So I contacted him. He responded back to me. We had a nice conversation, and I asked him point blank, James, have you ever considered doing an album cover? And much to my surprise, he wrote me back and said that he had never done an album cover in his life. And I found that absolutely shocking. He said he'd actually done one music related thing, and that was a poster for a festival. And I was just like, my jaw must have hit the floor when I heard that, because I was like, really, like, your artwork is absolutely perfect for it. I could already have seen like my band name across here and the title, like I could already see it all, So he said, yeah, okay. He was interested in doing it. He had never done it before, so he said he would give it a shot. Now, he asked me what I had in mind. Now, I had drawn a little ridiculous sketch. I wish I had kept it. I wish I could have shown you guys. It looked so silly. It was like a, like a little cliffside with this little funny looking palm tree on the side, and I had this little weird thing in the middle. I don't know. It was like a bunch of roots and stuff, and there was like this gem and stuff. And basically, I just gave him this little outline of a scene, and I told him, the album title, and I just told him, take what you see here, but make it, much better. Obviously, how you would do it. So he took it, and we got back the Ordinary Day album cover, and it just completely, blew me away. Like, it was far better than what anything that I had done, obviously. And it was even better than what I thought was gonna come, which was like already perfect in my mind. So this was like miles better than what I expected. So I was extremely happy with it. And from then on in, I had asked him if he would consider doing more album covers for me. Before we even got to that point, though, I had asked him if he would be willing to do a special poster that I could include with the album when it came out. And we got this here. And I believe that oil painting got sold. I believe that the original oil painting is in someone's collection now, hanging on their wall. Damn, I wish it would have been me, actually, to be honest. But whoever got it, I'm very happy for them, and I hope they're enjoying it. It's a fantastic picture. So from then on in, after that got done, and by the way, after he did that, he did some really nice, reproductions of it and sent them to me, like 100 of them for the album. He hand signed them and dated them and everything. It was fantastic. So that release went over really, really well, and that was very important for me because that was my introduction back into the music world. I had been away for a while. I hadn't released anything musically, so I'd been vacant for a while. Or I don't know if vacant's the right word, but I wasn't around. Let's just put it that way. So it was really important, let's just put it that way, to get this album right. And with James's help with that album cover, of course, the music that was in there with it, and the accompanying poster and other things, it really hit a home run, and the album sold out relatively quickly, actually. And thanks to some other people as well, with some fantastic reviews. Ron Beaudry did a great review of it. Baraka P-Dub did a fantastic review of it as well. And because of these people, the records flew out the door and they sold out rather quickly. Now, let me go through my notes here, because I wrote a bunch of notes here so I didn't forget anything. So here's a couple more of his album covers. As you know, he's done all of them. So he's done Ordinary Day. He's done A Brand New Day, which is the second album, which was obviously the follow-up. And I love the kind of connection with it. And now, really important to bring up here, starting with this album here, A Brand New Day, no longer did I give him any input on anything. I just gave him the album titles, and I said, go for it. Everything that you see here is done from his mind with no input from me whatsoever. Okay? So there you have Brand New Day. Next one was Man of Science, Man of Dreams. This one he asked not for input, but he asked me who I was exactly referring to, and I didn't want to say at first who, because it could have infected how he painted it. So he just went ahead and did it, and I think that he was thinking that I was implying that it was Einstein, hence why he put the E = mc squared in the top corner, which I had no problem with, because the person I was actually referring to was my father, my late father, because he was one of these people who was really deep into science. How I am with my music, how I'm in my room here all the time working on music, he was like that with scientific stuff. He had his basement little lab that he did stuff, experimenting with magnets and all kinds of different things, just crazy things, but they were so fascinating. So he was always sort of a inspiration to me in that sense, how he was so dedicated to his work. So it's funny, when he did that picture, the man in that picture ironically looks not exactly like my father, but there was elements of it that looked familiar. And so that turned out fantastic. It was another great cover. Then we had the run of great covers that he did for in the year 3073 trilogy that I put out. Book 1 here, fantastic. All I told him is that I wanted to have a scene of a world that didn't go to the dumps like most people. That's the problem with prog records, I find. Most people, when they make concept records, it's always about, oh, it's so bad, the nuclear holocaust happened, blah 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 blah. And he's like, I didn't want that. I wanted it to be good. I wanted the world to be much better than it was, hence this cover. Then we have book 2, and you can see the connection between book 1 and book 2 within the picture here. And then of course we had the last one, which was book 3. So these are all done by James off the top of his head. Great stuff. And now the last one he just did, What Lies Beyond, which is right here, was a really great piece he did. It was a really long, lengthy piece. Now the funny thing was, I wanted him to do that as a front and back connecting piece, so that I could just have the cover, like the title on the one side, and then put all the songs on the other side of it. But I didn't really think too clearly about that, because later on, when we had the graphic guy Jason do it for me, I think that he did end up using that backside. But a lot of the times graphic people use their own art or make their own art to do those things. So, but in any case, it worked out fantastic. The artwork is used as you see it here. Jason just modified it a bit and used it for the back pieces. Now, as I mentioned before, he's also done some posters for me, and I'll throw those up now here for you to see. Great stuff as well. And a lot of the times when I've done releases, as part of the pre-orders, I've sometimes offered bonus special edition posters for stuff, and James has been a big part of that as well. And you know what? I think I forgot to show you one thing. Boink. This here is the album cover that he didn't even know that he was doing it for this, but I released a compilation album, like a best of Projekt Gemineye, and I asked him if I could borrow this artwork for that, and he said yes, go ahead, no problem. And that's another James McCarthy artwork for you right there. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about really quickly is his sorry, I'm just reading my notes here. Some of the thing I want to show you was some of the other artwork that he did on his DeviantArt page. Some of the things, like I said before, he paints seasonally. Like when Halloween comes, he does a Halloween type poster right there. When there's like springtime or winter time, boom, he has the winter kinds of artwork that he does as well. Excuse me. And so here's another one for you. Really surreal, really inspired by futuristic things. Sometimes even does, not steampunk, but that sort of vibe I sometimes get from some of it as well. So some fantastic stuff. And another thing I wanted to mention, and I'm not going to really necessarily pat myself on the back for this, but I get the feeling that me getting James involved in this opened him up to a couple of opportunities. Maybe not. He can correct me if I'm wrong about this, but he has gotten commissioned now to do album covers for other things now. And I was the first person to ever ask him to do it, so I think I should get a little bit of credit for that. It's not important, but just in the sake of saying that if I hadn't have pushed him to do this, who knows if this would have happened, because he did some fantastic artwork. Boink here for Cleopatra Records for the tribute to Pink Floyd. As you can see there, looks very reminiscent of Animals, and that's the tribute record that came out. And boink, here's one for which was a tribute record, I believe, to Rick Wakeman. Now I haven't seen this album, so maybe this image was for a poster or something, or maybe it didn't get released. I don't know. Maybe Cleopatra didn't put the record up. I don't know. But all I know is that it is mentioned under the artwork information that this was commissioned for Cleopatra Records for a Rick Wakeman tribute album. Maybe that album's coming out. So I don't know. I haven't seen it. It could be out there. So don't take my word for that necessarily. So as you can see, James has done a lot of different things over the years. Fantastic stuff. And he will continue to be an integral part of Project Gemineye. Like I said before, I can't imagine there being a Project Gemineye album coming out without his artwork as the front cover. And the other great thing that I want to announce is that I finally have been able to, cobble together some funds and get myself the original oil painting of An Ordinary Day. Will be coming to me and will be in this studio hanging when I do receive it. So I will show you that. The original, I believe it's 16 by 60. Don't quote me on that, the exact dimensions of it, but it's going to be very nice when it comes in, and I'll talk about it more in detail when I receive it. But if you're interested in looking at more of his artwork, here is the link to his DeviantArt page right here. And if you go to the DeviantArt page, I believe there's a section there where it says shop. I believe it's that there's a shop there where you can go there, and he has listings of prices for various paintings that he has available if you're interested in buying a painting from. Now, obviously these are oil paintings that take a long time to do, so they're not going to be like $50. So, they're going to be a couple $100 at least, to get a beautiful painting like that. And don't forget, it's going to have to get shipped to and properly boxed up. So add a few more bucks for that too. But you're talking about artwork that is, absolutely unbelievable. I mean, the comments that he gets from these things, people are falling on their, rear ends when they see this stuff. And just like I do, every time I ask him for an album cover and he sends it to me on the phone and says, Mark, what do you think of this? I'm completely blown away. So if you're interested in buying one of his paintings, by all means, go do it. Don't buy my covers. I'm trying to buy them all off of him, but I'm just joking. If you have the funds and you want to buy Man of Science, Man of Dreams, it is available on his site, I believe, to buy the original oil painting. But Ordinary Day is mine. I bought that. So that's it for Mr. James McCarthy. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of look at his artwork. We are trying to, I'm in talks with him too to get him on screen to discuss more detailed stuff about his background and his painting, and maybe some of the more details about how he paints, etc. So look for that in the future. I think that he's finally warming up to that idea, so that's going to be great when it finally does happen. Okay, so I hope you guys are having a great day. I'll talk to you guys all soon about more things, Project Gemineye, and hopefully the next time I talk to you, I might have the album covers by then. So I'll talk to you then. Bye for now.